Welcome to the Fountain Podcast. This episode is sponsored by Fountain. We are an AI agency where we help businesses scale for save time, scale revenue, and profits. I'm the founder of Fountain, and today with me I have Nico. Nico, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Nico van Armeren, architect from South Africa. Been doing this for the last, 41 years since I
Yeah.
started the company.
And how did you get started?
Actually, weirdly, I didn't study architecture and I studied civil engineering and then started working as a project manager. And looking at the designs that came across my desk, I just thought, God, there must be better designs than this. And people were just doing very stupid, crazy things. And I decided to start a design and construction company. And I designed 4 houses, built them, and then I had no more time to build. I was just designing. And in the end, I was forced to register as an architect. And luckily enough, I passed the exams and registered as an architect. So I've been working as an architect for, I think, 28 years now since I registered. But
Wow.
yeah, it was just trying to find better solutions to people's problems. And just passive design. People just didn't seem, even today, I look at a lot of designs that people don't have any idea about passive design, of just looking where the sun is when and designing around it so that you get a building that you don't need a lot of air conditioning and heating and all sorts of things to make it habitable.
I see. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Especially, I find that a lot of American architects don't have any clue about passive design. They just, there's a nice sunset. We'll design the house west facing. And in summer, behind that west facing window, it's 50 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And they think that works. And I just say to them, are you crazy? If you don't design south facing in the northern hemisphere, north facing in the southern hemisphere, you've got endless problems with energy usage and just habitability of your structure.
Hmm.
You can sit in hot sunshine with the aircon blowing on you, and it's still not comfortable. Think about your car. If the sun is breaking through the window, the aircon is keeping you cool, but the sun is still irritating the hell out of you. So unless you design around that and make sure that when it's hot, you don't have sunshine on your glass, and when it's cool, you do get the sunshine, you've got a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And did you always have that thought right from the beginning, from when you first started?
Yeah, as I say, I studied engineering, so by inclination, I want efficient design. I
Yeah.
want buildings that works like a good machine works. And unless you design passively, you cannot really do that. I've seen designs where they told me, no, but the morning sun is going to heat it from this side, and they're going to transfer that heat to the west side. In the afternoon, they'll transfer the coolness from the east side to the west side to make it cool. And I said, we're just bloody crazy. Design the
Yeah.
thing north-south, and you don't have any of those problems. And make sure especially your west wall is very well insulated with as little glass as possible. Well, that's where the summer sun bakes you, is on the west side. And depending on where you are, one of the worst windows you can have is, for instance, in the southern hemisphere, a southwest facing window, if you're down in Cape Town. Well, that afternoon sun bakes solidly 45 degrees on that corner, and it fries you. And the same thing if you're in the northern hemisphere. If you do in even Italy, Spain, Portugal, all those countries, if you have a northwest facing corner that's glass, it's going to fry you in summer. Forget about
Yeah.
it. There's no ways you can get around it. The only way you can do is in the end to do a whole solar shield structure outside the glass to stop the sunlight before it hits the glass. So
Yeah.
yeah, as you can hear, I'm a bit passionate about good
Yeah, no, I can
design.
tell right from the get. I can definitely tell. And do you think, I mean, I'm sure it does. The engineering background definitely helped you out just because, efficiency was so important to you, right? And do you think that gives you a very good competitive advantage as well?
Yeah, to some extent. I think our best adverts are people living in our houses who tell other people this is the best house we've ever lived in. We've had many clients that had the first house designed by us and then came back and said, we don't want anybody else to design a house for us again. And so that's what our reputation is built on, is that our houses are nice to live in.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that you touched on reputation, how do you acquire clients?
Many ways. Lots of referrals from previous clients. We've been in magazines for 35 odd years. I think I had my first front cover in 1992, thereabouts. We had our first front cover of magazines. We've been literally in hundreds, if not thousands, of magazines and books. We've been on television so many times. And nowadays, the internet.
Yeah.
We're all over the internet. If you're looking for architects, hopefully we pop up on your first page, especially for residential architects. And no, this game, if you want to survive, you have to do your marketing.
Yeah. And what other ways do you guys do marketing, or is that's just you pretty much nailed all of them?
Mostly, I would say internet marketing nowadays. We
Yeah.
still market in some magazines in particular areas where we want to be. Like, for instance, we're doing quite a bit of bush lodges at the moment. So we've got some articles in there and maybe take a double page spread advert showing some of the bush lodges we've designed and so forth. You know, it's like a snowball. If you market for 40 years, it starts building up and it starts rolling by itself almost. You build up that critical mass in marketing.
Now, for the magazines, do they approach you or do you guys approach them? Or is it a little bit of mix of both?
Now, it's all clients approaching us. We
Nice.
never approach anybody from our side. They come
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah. And how does that look like for you? Do because I've actually heard, just touching into my experience, I had a client of mine was always approached by magazines, but they were always trying to just get them to give in money. Is that the same case for you, or no? It was just free publicity for you.
No, mostly it's free publicity. We do sometimes, some of the magazines like it if you do an advert together with an article. And
Okay.
I find that works well for with the article, then you can show something you want to show, something new, something interesting in your advert. And
Yeah.
people can read the article about what you do. So that combination works well for me.
Yeah. Say there's somebody starting their architectural business, right? What would you say to them? What's the best way to market in the beginning?
Sure. I've started this 40 years ago. To say what's the best way nowadays is a good question. I think most people start with friends and family and try to design something for them, or otherwise just do a fantasy design for yourself and do nice renderings and try to publish it and get it out there so people can see what you can do. But it's a very competitive industry. We've been rated amongst the top 3 in South Africa for many years, and we're a small company. We're 20 odd people. Some of the companies we're rated against is 400 people. So
Yeah.
for us to be up there means we're doing something right. But obviously, if you reach that sort of a critical mass in your company where you've got 400 people working for you, you've got 400 people singing your praises and bringing in work for you.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say to somebody that's just starting off, right? And they get to your level? What would you tell them your biggest problem is now?
It's just to keep the wheel rolling. It's one day you've got too much work, the next day you've got nothing. It's to balance that out and
Mm,
to make sure you can survive the lean times.
yeah.
The only what I've got is try and do the best work you can. Do not push out stuff that's not up to standard. Read, and look at photographs in magazines and when we were young, my wife and I would spend our Sunday afternoons going to show houses. In South Africa, Sundays were the show days for houses for sale. So we would study the newspapers in those days and see which of the famous architects has got something that they're showing that's for sale. And we'd go and look at it and study it and see what they've done to learn from them. And, you might think you have brilliant ideas until you see what other people do. And then suddenly
Mm.
you start learning.
Yeah. Can you elaborate more on the lean times where you were talking about? Can you give me an example of that, maybe?
You've got things like COVID. And
Mm.
funnily enough, we made more money during COVID than we did before or after.
Oh, interesting.
I think it was basically just we had the work coming in, and suddenly our people were sitting at their homes instead of spending 2, 3 hours in traffic to get to the office. They were working from home, and they were very productive, and they all helped posting stuff on the internet, and we
Yeah.
did very well through COVID. So it's those lean times. That's when you have to get in there and post your stuff on the sites where you can post house and all those sites, dwell and Archilevels and those places, post your work. And other people are also sitting at home with nothing to do, so they go and look at it. And it worked very well for us. And lean times, I tell my office, now's the time to write articles, do fancy renderings that we can use for marketing. And that's the only way you survive. And the
Yeah.
other thing we're lucky is we're not working just in one country. We've done work in, I think, 46 countries. So when it's
Wow.
quiet in the country, it might pick up in another country. Like South Africa at the moment is so-so. People just don't have the political confidence. But the rest of the world suddenly is picking up. We're busy with projects in Florida, in Portugal, in must be 10 African countries at the moment that we're
Wow.
working in. And that's what keeps you alive is by trying to balance out the different markets.
Yeah. How does your team look like since you've done it, worked in so many different countries? Does that make it difficult for you? And, do you require a big team for that?
No, not really. The main thing is that we've created a very comprehensive file of standard details. Well, my problem is that quite often a builder who's going to build one of our structures has never seen anything like that. He's never been in a place like that. So now
Mm.
suddenly you have to teach him to do that. For instance, a lot of our houses is steel frame construction, like you build office blocks. We do a steel frame structure with infill brickwork and infill glass. And to do that, you need very good steel contractors, guys who understand what you want to do with steel. And by creating standard details, we can show a guy everything that he needs to know about building the building. But many other details, just a standard detail like outside there at that door. How do you do your waterproofing to ensure you don't get water in under the door, into your floor next to it,
Yeah.
and into your ceiling below? If those sort of details aren't properly designed and properly controlled on site, you've got endless problems. In the end, you take out the tiles on your balcony, you take out the door, you do the waterproofing properly, you start from scratch. So it's those sort of details that's important.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you can work worldwide is by doing that. Lots of the countries we use our architect of record, which is obviously a local architect who knows the local construction procedures and
Okay.
who then takes our design and get it approved in that jurisdiction. Then work with the builder, go out to tender, work with the builder and supervise the work and stay in contact with us regularly about the details. For even in places like the States and Europe,
Yeah.
uh, people say straight out that our designs are more intricate than anything they've ever done before and more detailed. So unless you supply those details, you're not going to get what you want.
Would you say that's a common problem you face?
Yeah, it's a common problem, especially if you work outside of the country where you know. But even in South Africa, you
Yeah.
start working in some small town, and the local builders don't have a clue what this building is about. If in Africa, we quite often recommend our clients from the rest of Africa to actually fly in with their builder and come and look at one or two of our buildings and get a feel for
Mm,
what we do. And we walk them through, we show them the details, we show them how to do it, what is required. So it's easier if you can fly the builder in and show him and his project manager, if possible, and your architect of record. You bring them all in and you take them for a tour for a few days to show them some of our buildings. Quite often, I don't think people totally understand the complexity of the buildings we do.
yeah.
For at the moment, busy with one in Florida, and the architect there said straight out to me, he's never seen such a complex building. It's just a normal house of 10, 12,000 square feet. But the complexity is still far more than what they expect in a house.
Yeah. Now, speaking about problems, what's the biggest problem you are currently facing in your business?
The clients,
Acquiring clients or dealing with them?
the worst client you can have is the client who thinks he knows better than you. Currently, we've designed a beautiful place in Dar es Salaam. Big house, around 35,000 square feet, basement with a big house. Then they got an architect of record that never communicated with us, and they decided to take the house that was north-south facing and turn it through 90 degrees. So suddenly the north side that's totally glass, the south side that's totally glass are now facing east and west. Dar es Salaam general temperatures is around 30 degrees. You put 2 stories of solid glass facing east or west, and your most probably average temperature of that house is going to be somewhere between 40 and 50 degrees. And now you try to cool that with air conditioning. Okay, you think how much air conditioning you're going to use, where you've
Yeah.
got literally thousands of square feet of glass facing the sun directly. And you try to explain it to them, they don't want to listen. The fact that I've got 40 years experience, they've got the experience they gained in the year or two that we've been working together, and they know better than I do.
Is that so that's common as well, you think, or not so
It's not
much?
common, but once in a
Yeah.
while it happens.
Yeah, that must be
It
a
happens
headache.
once in a while. So you've got these clients, they've built a business, they're successful in what they do, and they think they know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. How do you, let's say you are lean, right? Which I'm sure rarely happens. Leaning meaning acquiring customers. Is acquiring customers ever an issue for you?
Well, it's to make sure the inquiries are there and then to sell them. For obviously, we charge a premium price. We don't even try to pretend we don't. I know there are guys that's working for 25% of what we charge, but we're delivering the value for that money. So people who appreciate value and appreciate quality, we acquire them easily enough. But then you've got the guy who's got $20,000 and he wants you to design this mansion for him. He's got $20,000 to pay you. And sorry, what you want is not $20,000, it's closer to $200,000. So I can design 10% of what you want for $20,000. And that's life. I can't afford a Ferrari, whatever, F250 or whatever. If I walk into the into the dealership and tell them I want to buy it for $20,000, they're also going to laugh at me.
You just the wheels.
Yeah, that's the problem. And
Yeah.
that's what you need to make people understand that comes to you, clients that come and see you.
Hmm.
But weirdly enough, quite often you find it's the clients who are not really that rich that in the end decide they'll go for you. They can see the value, they can see the
Mm.
quality, and they want it. So on the other hand, you get these. I always joke about what's the difference between a doctor, a lawyer, and an architect. When you go to the doctor, you're ill. you need help, you pay what he charges you. If he wants 50,000 rand for that operation, you need to stay alive, you're going to pay it.
Yeah.
You go to a lawyer, you're usually in trouble. You're going to jail or you're going to lose everything you worked for. So you pay him what he wants. You're in trouble. When you come to an architect, you're on top of the world. You're going to beat him down. You're
Yeah.
not in trouble. He's in trouble for he has to deal with you. And that's the big difference between the three.
Yeah.
And so you have to learn to deal with it.
Yeah. Now, what does your day-to-day look like in this stage of your life?
And I'm an old man. I'm on my way to my 80s. So I work when I feel like it. I spent 6 months a year in Italy. Still work here, but definitely not the sort of
Yeah.
16, 18, 20 hours that I used to work in my young days. And then 6 months I'm in South Africa, where I still work maybe 16 hours a day some days. Some days I do nothing. But I also travel a lot, go and see clients all over Africa, have lots of meetings in my office with clients and builders and so forth. Here in Italy, I'm the gardener, I'm the general handyman, and so forth. But in between, I'm a bit of an architect. You see, it's the difference between third world and first world. In South Africa, I've got the drivers, I've got the cleaners, I've got the gardeners. I don't need
Mm,
to do it myself. Here in Italy, you do it yourself.
yeah.
It's
So you
very
still,
fun.
yeah, you still have both to keep you level.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. What do you, so I guess I'll start off first with the first question. How big is your team?
My team is only at the moment, I think, about 22, 23 people. It varies, but we're
Yeah.
usually sort of between 20 and 30 people.
Yeah. Actually, let me circle back around before I forget this question, because you mentioned that doctor, lawyer, and architect analogy. Is it hard for you to sell people on your, I guess, designs or your products?
I think most people that we see would love to use us, but it's usually the problem is affordability. Is not just our fees, but also our structures. Our
Yeah.
structures are expensive to build. They're not four walls and a roof. And so it makes them more expensive. So the client that comes to you must take into consideration our fee is maybe 2.5% of the cost of the building. I know there are some architects who charge us 20%, but ours somewhere between 2.5% and 5% maximum of the building cost. So if you battle to afford us, how are you going to afford the other 95% to build the
Yeah.
house? And so a lot of people that comes to us don't have a clue about how expensive it is to build. And you know, Africa is cheap. I'm looking at prices in California at the moment that it's at least 5 to 10 times more expensive to build than in Africa. Quite often not what you call it, a superior product, a very
Yeah.
similar product or an inferior product. You're paying way more. And so, yes, the problem is not to sell the client. The problem is to make sure the client can afford what he wants to buy.
So you would say it's getting a qualified client.
Yeah, no, we qualify them right from the start. For when we see them, we've got a comprehensive brief form that we complete with them.
Hmm.
And as we complete the brief form, it starts doing a budget at the bottom. And we say to them, this is approximately what our fee is going to be. And based on the finishes you just gave us, that's approximately what the building is going to cost you. And that's where you need the smelling salts to revive them when
Yeah.
they start realizing what a building is going to cost. We're busy on a house at the moment in Zimbabwe that's coming in at 100 mil US dollar. Okay, it's one of the major houses being built anywhere in the world. But that's the sort of price you can run up to if you're starting to build big and luxurious.
Yeah.
And but normally I'd say our average house is somewhere between $5 million, gives me, yeah, between $5 and $10 million is sort of the average house we're
Wow.
doing. And we're doing some cheaper ones, some of them around $1 million, $1.5 million. But I'd say the average is closer to $5 million. The houses we're
Yeah.
designing.
What
And
problems do you think your team faces mostly? What do you think is your team's biggest challenge? Since I mean, you're still involved, I'm sure, but what
yes,
do you think your team faces mostly?
the days are not long enough.
So maybe being more efficient, you'd say?
And not just efficiency, it's just that the guys that sticks with us are all perfectionists.
Uh,
And for a perfectionist, the day is never long enough. There's always something that you can improve on, that you can do better. So yeah,
can
I
you be
think
more
that's all.
specific? Can you be more specific? Can you give me a maybe a scenario?
Well, just generally, they do a rendering that I feel is quite okay. They say to me, no, that's just a start.
Yeah.
The real renderings will come after 5 more iterations. And then they do it and they present it to the client and then they went back and they improve on it again. And that's perfectionism.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, perfectionism takes time. And in
Yeah.
the end, your family suffers under it, your health suffers under it because you want it to be perfect.
Yeah. Are you the same
Amongst
way?
architects, is a common problem.
Are you the same way?
Yeah, to some extent. You find you do a design, you go back a few months later, you think, God, I could have done better.
Yeah.
Walk
Eh,
into it, when it's finished, and you think, why the hell did I do that? I could have done it so much nicer, even
Yeah.
after doing it for 40 odd years.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, do you have a problem hiring ever?
The problem is more finding the right people
Yeah.
because we're fairly particular and you need people that can work in a team like that, but people that works in a team like that all have big egos. So
Mm,
in spite of his ego, he must be able to play in a team and work with other people and especially accept criticism from other people in the team. We do a weekly design meeting where the guys will actually design and put their stuff up on a big screen and everybody looks at it and makes suggestions and criticisms and so forth. And you must be able to take that. You must be able to accept there are other people who've got maybe a better idea for some particular detail or some particular look, and you have to live with it. You have to do it. So, yeah, you pick up quite a lot of our staff has been with us for many years. And like Elaine that you spoke to, she's been with me for 25 years.
wow.
And she's almost as old as I am. But even the younger people, our associates has all been there for at least 10 years, some of them 15 years. Some of the younger staff, we've got staff members that joined us basically straight out of varsity or straight out of college, and they stick with us for many years. Usually what happens is they get poached by other companies who hope to score on the training we gave them and offer them ridiculous salaries.
Mm,
But yeah,
I see.
that's life.
Yeah. Yeah. What does the salary look like for your top guy?
In American terms, fairly low. In South African terms, we try to joke about golden handcuffs, that in South African terms, they're going to battle to get a better salary. The top guys, the guys who are
Okay.
worth it, are going to battle to find a better salary anywhere else. And we had a boxer in South Africa who said he refused to fight. And he said, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. And I always remember that,
Yeah.
that if you pay peanuts, you're going to have monkeys working for it.
What do you think is costing you the most time or money on a daily basis?
That's a good question. I think more time spent on sites trying to get the buildings built the way we want. The time we spent on lists and lists of defects that you repeat 20 times before it gets fixed, if it ever gets fixed. And that is a big problem, is the time we spent on defects lists. Even though we charge the client for the time, that is
Mm,
design time the design team loses on finding fault. And that is one of our big problems. And also, obviously, finding the right builders all the time to get a builder that can deliver the quality we're looking for. That is to quite some extent a perfectionist himself. So
Yeah.
he can understand what we want and he can try and achieve it. What helps a lot is having a good project manager. We normally don't do what they would call in the architectural world your site management, the site supervision.
Hmm.
We do only defects. We employ people who are professional project managers to manage the project, and the scat is trying to climb up the grid. And we got some good guys at the moment that we're working with, but life is life. They come and they go.
Yeah.
So one moment you've got a builder that we've had it so many times where builders performed very well with 2, 3 projects in a row. And then suddenly they fell on their face and they bankrupt. And now you start from scratch again trying to find a good guy. Or a particular builder that's doing good work just appoint the wrong project manager on a particular project and it
Yeah.
becomes a disaster. So those sort of things, not so much problems in the office or with the design, but more problems on site getting it built to the quality we want.
Yeah. So finding a good, but what does your process look like getting a good builder?
If we can, we use guys that we've used for many years. Some of the
Yeah.
builders and some of the subcontractors we're working with have been working with us for 30, 35 years. But quite often they can't handle all of it, or their price is not low enough for the client's taste, and they use other people. So all we can do is try and vet them, go and see the work they've done, what the quality is like, speak to their ex-clients, and so forth. But it's using a new builder is usually a gamble.
What do you think that costs? Like that difference between having a good builder and a builder that's all right, mediocre. What do you think that cost would be, either for you or the client?
Look, the good builders usually get guys, you know the old story. There's always somebody that can do something a little bit cheaper and a lot worse.
Yeah.
And that is your problem. Now you've got a guy that comes in 5 or 10% cheaper than the builder you prefer. And the client looks at it and says, that's $500,000. I'd rather use the cheaper guy. And in the end, he's going to have more than $500,000 worth of problems.
Yeah.
And quite often, halfway through the project, they run away. And you have to go back to the expensive builder who knows what he's doing, and now he's charging more because he now has to fix up somebody else's mess.
Yeah.
But clients don't always understand that. They don't understand if you want to pay for a Japanese or Chinese car, you're not going to get a Rolls Royce or a Ferrari. You're going to
Yep.
get a Chinese car or a Japanese car. And you have to accept that. But as I say, there's always somebody who can do something a little bit cheaper and a lot worse. And you have to try and convince people of that.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned earlier, if I'm not mistaken, you tell the client to find the builder, correct?
Now, now
No?
we go out to tender with builders. If it's in a country or a city where we haven't worked before, we'll contact our colleagues, other architects in that area, and ask them, are there any builders you recommend that you think can build this sort of thing? And then we go out to tender with them. And once we've sort of zoomed in on a guy whose quote looks reasonable, we want to see his work. And even if we can't go physically, we communicate with his clients there and ask them to send us videos of the work they've done and so forth to just get an idea of the capabilities of the builder. But yeah, we try to recommend a builder, but often you also have clients who have builders that built for them before, or builders that's friends, which is the worst situation you can be in. It's one thing you never do is do business with friends or family.
Yeah.
If you to burn your fingers, you do business with them. And then we have to work around it. You don't have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually had a bad experience. I used to own a party rental company and it was with family and did not go as I thought it would.
Yeah,
So now I'm here.
we've
It's
all been there.
yeah, that's part of life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Question: if you had a magic wand to solve a business problem that could maybe save you time or money, what would that problem be?
Staff, trying to find the right staff, trying to retain them. And people can say whatever they want. It's still a gamble when you employ anybody. What you see during the interview is not always what you get when the work starts getting done. We had a recent experience with somebody we employed. She didn't, I think she lasted about 3 months.
Okay.
And student, very good marks, and looked like she could design. But the amount of personal problems and stuff that came with it, as I say, she lasted about 3 months, and that was it. And it's 3 wasted months for you. First of all, have to induct her in the company, get her to understand the systems, get her to understand how we work, that sort of thing, which takes time from your other staff and your senior staff, where they have to make sure she fits in and she can do the work and she knows how the work is done. And then, even if they leave after a year or 18 months or so forth, there's still a hell of a waste of human capital that went in there that
Yeah.
you have to try and recoup. And now, if I could get some AI robots that I can say, do that job this way, and they do it, it'll make life much easier.
Has that always been
But
a theme?
yeah, it's always been a thing.
Yeah.
I've had staff that were with me for a long, long time, and then they decide, no, they've gone their own. They've learned everything they could from me, and they're going to start their own business. But you never hear from them again. They just disappear. You thought
Yeah.
these people, they've worked for me for 10, 15 years. They've got the experience. They should be able to make a success of it. I remember one guy that was with us for many years, and the next time we heard of him, he was working for a company that designed log homes. These big logs they built homes from,
Yeah.
and these very simple structures where you can't design an intricate thing with logs. And
Yeah.
then the next thing I heard, the business has gone out under. The
Uh,
business didn't exist, and we never heard of him again. And he was quite a good architect.
Yeah.
That's life.
What have you tried to do about that problem with the staffing?
You try to uh, bring them in as associates and give them a share of the business, that sort of thing. But even that, in the end, I guess they want their name at the top of the letterhead.
How much do you think it has cost you?
After 40 years to try and establish that, I'll need to use all the AI agents together to try and figure it out.
Yeah, right. And have you given up on dealing with that problem or not yet?
No, not yet. We try to refine your employment criteria and what you look for in people and so forth. But as I say, people are people. Everybody has got his own kick.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you plan on doing to combat that, you think?
There's nothing you can do about it. You just live with it and you move on. As simple as that. Try and get the good people, try and retain them. Staffing, big companies, I guess, has it easier because the guy just get lost. If you're employing 400 people, one guy doesn't make that much of a difference. If you employ 20 people, one guy can make a huge difference.
Okay.
5% of your capital.
Yeah, yeah,
When it comes to associates, you might have 3 or 4 associates, so it's 25% of your capital that's sitting there.
yeah. Are there any common complaints you hear from your customers, maybe?
I think the biggest complaint is usually time. They don't realize how much time it takes to deliver the product we deliver.
How much does it
And
take,
especially,
actually?
it depends on the size of the building and the details. The normal architectural side, I would say 6 months is a reasonable time
Okay.
from first consultation to plan approvals and builder being appointed. Some of them, so the big houses takes longer. It also depends on the client's cash flow. We work on a basis you pay and we play. So if you don't pay, we don't play. So if you can't afford to pay for the next phase, then you wait until you can pay for it before we start with it. So it does make a difference on the completion time. And then there's interior design. Nobody, I think, realize how much time goes into proper interior design, the sort of interiors we do. And people just expect you're going to press the button and out pops the interior design. Believe me, the amount of detail that goes in there is mind-boggling. Interior design takes far longer than the actual building design. For the interior design is what you see, and it's the details you see. And you can design a beautiful structure, but people see it as they approach it, and then they spend the next 80-90% of their time inside that structure. They don't see the beauty of the structure from outside again, they see the inside.
Yeah.
And that's why the interior design side is so important.
How much do you think it costs you to acquire a customer? If you had
Don't
to
have
take a
a clue.
guess.
We spent, let's do a rough calculation. We spent in the region of direct expense. We spent at least $10,000 to $15,000 a month.
Okay.
And so that gives us, say, $150,000 a year. And for that, we acquire maybe 20 clients a year. So
Okay. Yeah.
about $12,000 per client, something like that.
Yeah. Are they all usually qualified?
No, look, we work on a general 5 out of 20 clients will actually come in for a consultation.
I see.
Inquiries, 5 out of 20 inquiries. And then generally we'll land 1, sometimes 2 out of that 5. So you land between 10 and 20% of the inquiries you get, you land as a client. Lots of the guys can't afford the building cost that is going to cost to build once they start going into details. So yeah, no, we would say if we hit 5%, we're doing fairly well.
So what strategies have you found most effective in like improving your qualification process, you think?
Elaine chatting to them. She chats to them very gently. You don't know whether you've chatted with her in real life.
Yeah.
She gets an idea of what they can afford, what they want to build, and she gently brings them down to earth and then starts making the appointments with the guys that sounds like they won't fall off their chair when they hear what it costs.
Yeah. Are there any other marketing channels you've considered like to testing to lower your client acquisition cost or maybe even just acquiring more?
I don't think if you acquiring high value clients, you're going to reduce your cost of acquiring a client that much. And you have to accept that we budget for it. The sort of client we want, cost of acquiring him is maybe 5% of the total value. And so it is still worthwhile.
Yeah. What kind of questions do you ask them to like, or I guess techniques to gauge their budget?
Look, normally Elaine would try and find out whether they've got a clue of the area of the house they want to build.
Okay.
And once she's got that, she'll say to them, look, in Africa, it'll cost you at least $1,000 to $1,500 a square meter. So you want to do a 500 square meter house, so it's going to cost you between $500,000 and $750,000. Now, a lot of them it costs more, but that gives us
Yeah.
some indication what they can afford. And that's when a lot of them will just say, sorry, no, we're not in that market, and they go away. And when a few guys say, okay, that's about what we budgeted for, can we have a meeting? And it's like a guy walking into a showroom for expensive cars.
Yeah.
Can you afford the 250,000 Ferrari or can you afford the 50,000 Chevrolet?
Do you know the common theme as to where they come from? Usually your best clients, is there a common theme? Like, do you ask them, how did you find or hear about us? And is there a common theme for your best favorite clients?
Look, there's an old saying that says clients have to see you 5 times before they register. So a lot of them comes from the internet, from stuff that gets published on the internet, projects and so forth. And then Google search that brings us up and so forth. But then certain of the very upmarket estates, they see our boards of the houses going up. And the fifth time they drive past our board, they pick up the phone and they say, okay, can we chat? So we put up big boards on our sites with a nice rendering of the building we're doing, where we're allowed to
Hmm.
do it. And but that works in certain very upmarket suburbs. For the rest of the world, it is the internet. Okay, a lot of the African clients also pick up magazines and stuff at the business class lounges and so forth, and quite often see our work there.
Yeah.
So that's the one way we do pick up international. But even internationally, we've got amongst the top level that can afford us. We've got a good reputation, and lots of people know about us in Africa in any case. The rest of the world, we're just one of many.
So is it safe to say you'd like to be on more magazines or and be out there more?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Is it safe to say you'd like to be on more magazines or be out there more? Just put yourself out there?
Magazines is a dying breed. You can see it in just what they charge. When we started, proportion wise, magazines charge far more than what they're charging now. Magazines are actually getting cheap now because they're desperate to get anybody to advertise in them. And also, they need the articles to fill the magazine so people want the magazine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would say internet. The internet is where you market and where you get your work from. And you just have to make sure you get ratings there and people notice you.
How are you guys doing on that intimate side of things? Do you think you're doing a good job? You think you could be doing better? How does that look?
You can always do better. That's the problem about a perfectionist. It's never good enough.
Yeah, right.
You can
Yeah.
always do.
How would you like to do better? Do you think that was one of your goals maybe this upcoming year?
Yeah, look, the goal is always we need to do better with marketing. And the poor marketing people throw up their hands and say, "Oh, are we going to do better?" You have to do the SEO. Nowadays, we're starting to look at what does AI look for to rate you
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So that you ask AI who are the best architects in South Africa, you are rated there. You
Yeah.
might be rated very high on Google, but you're not rated at all on AI.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of thing. Originally, when we started, for instance, YouTube videos were quite a good marketing tool. Now there are zillions of videos on YouTube, and the chance of anybody finding you there is fairly remote, unless they're really searching for you. But they know
Yeah.
your name, searching for you. There's no ways they're going to find you. They're just typing in architect on YouTube.
Do you guys use AI often in your business?
Not that we use it. The architects are playing with it nowadays, my young
Yeah.
associates, that they try and create these shells to give them ideas of something different to design. But for the real design work, it's still sit behind your computer and work out the plan. The AI can give you a concept that let's look at this massing, that
Yeah.
placement, this view. But once you've got that AI floor plans, I've tried it several times when I said design a house like we design, and the stuff that comes out is horrible.
Yeah. It's funny you say that
It
because my
reminds
brother.
me a lot of the plans that comes across my table where people come to me and say, "We've paid this architect for this work. What do you think?"
That's funny. It reminds me of my brother. He actually just remodeled his bathroom and he was He's asking ChatGPT, just take a picture of his bathroom. He's like, give me multiple designs
Mm.
multiple design ideas to just remodel this bathroom. It gave him
Yeah.
an idea, but nothing really,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It gives you new ideas, shapes and forms you didn't think about, materials that might be
Yeah,
novel. But some of that stuff, you look at it and you think that must be as difficult to build as a Zaha Hadid building.
the pyramids.
Yeah, those, what's the word I'm looking for? Ice cream cone buildings of hers. The company
Yeah.
that swirls like you do with ice cream.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
Uh,
And does your marketing team use AI things?
test some of the marketing campaigns against AI and see what AI says about it. And even our website, they quite often run through AI to see what AI thinks about the website design and so forth. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a new world out there.
Yeah, and it's definitely difficult. I mean, it's difficult adopting AI and then getting an expert. Like even someone from my team, he still teaches me how to use AI every day because it's always changing. The prompts,
Yes.
they're specific. When you want a specific answer, you have to ask a specific questions with a different framework. It's even so complicated for me. Thank God I have a good team behind me. But
But now let the engineer in me come back. Why the hell are all the server farms for AI not built in the deserts where they can put up huge solar farms and photovoltaically generate the energy they use instead of burning coal or oil to generate that power? Why are
politics,
they sitting in, they should be sitting in the desert somewhere where they've got
yeah,
sunshine 360 days a year and they've got all this land that they can build their solar farm and run the
yeah,
bloody thing off photovoltaic instead of what do you call it? Or in windy areas, put up huge wind generators and get your energy from that.
yeah. They're actually just finally building a really big one in Texas, in the
Mm.
middle of the open, finally. But yeah, even just I guess talking data centers, China, they
Mm.
have I think like 8 times what we have in power
Yeah, no,
for all that.
China generates as much solar power as the rest of the world.
Yeah, they're
And
way ahead.
forward thinking.
Yeah, exactly. It's forward thinking because they've been working on this for a long, long time.
Now, you've got these stupid regulations like where I'm here in Italy. I'm not allowed to put up more photovoltaic to generate more power than what the state electricity company can give me. So they only give me 6 kilowatts. I'm not allowed to put up photovoltaic that gives me more than 6 kilowatt. And I can't have their 6 kilowatt and my 6 kilowatt together. I'm only allowed 6 kilowatt. Now,
Hmm.
explain that to me. That's just protecting them and stuff the normal man in the street.
Yeah. What's your upcoming goal for this year? Do you have a specific upcoming goal?
Spend more time with the family,
Yeah. What do you think would allow you
grandchildren.
to do that? Congratulations. It's great. It's amazing.
So
Yeah. What do you think would allow you to do that more this year?
just my own, what's the word I'm looking for? Boredom level.
Oh,
Don't design for a while, I get very bored.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
love to spend time with the grandchildren, but I need to sit and solve some problems also.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Let me see. I want to ask one last question to you. I know I took up a lot of your time. I apologize. One last question for you. All right. If you have to leave one message with the audience, what would it be?
Please, please, please design very, very carefully that you don't use a lot of extra energy for no reason whatsoever. Just because your architect doesn't know about passive design. Just basic passive design beats any other way of designing.
Nico, I really appreciate you jumping on this call. It was a pleasure having you. I will share all your information, your website when this video rolls out. And yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. This was great. This was amazing. Thank you again, Nico.
Yeah, no, it was fun meeting you. And as I said, if you come to South Africa, let us know.